Hello everyone, I'm Deb and this is DB Designs and Sewing Australia. Welcome back to my subscribers and welcome if you're new to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about two different fur items that I made. One being the Acorn Vest by Love Notions, which is a little girl's vest, and I made it in a size 4 for one of my granddaughters. And the other is a McCalls M7847, which is a fur coat. I will insert photos all the way through. Now, I made the little girl's vest. I will insert a photo of the pattern because I don't have a picture of the pattern on me. I only have the pattern pieces that I printed out for it. And I made this in this beautiful fur for my granddaughter Phoebe. I'll insert photos because this time she actually let me take photos of her, and I actually got a photo of her in her purple cord skirt as well. And this is a beautiful fur coat and it looks lovely on her. And I keep on rubbing my nose because I keep on getting fur up my nose. Now last time I talked about what sort of closure I would put on a vest, because when I make the fur coats, I'm not putting a closure on them. They're ladies' fur coats and they easily cross over the front. So, but the little girls' vests, I thought if they run, they're just going to fly off them because they're lined. So I actually went with the toggle idea, and I had some pieces of leather. And I've actually got this whole bag of scrap leather. I think some of it might be vinyl, but this is just all different pieces of leather. And so I didn't have any blue, unfortunately, but I went with this cream coloured leather, and the toggle worked out really, really well. I'll insert photos of Phoebe in the vest, but really, really pleased with how these toggles worked out. Was able to sew it on my sewing machine that fur everywhere. My sewing machine that I do all my denim sewing and top stitch my denim on, and any really thick fabrics or taking up legs of jeans. A 2-rolled hem on the bottom pair of a jeans, and that sewing machine will sew over it. It's an old Empacel machine and it's well over 50 years old. I bought it secondhand off Facebook Marketplace or Gumtree or something like that. Comes with cams, so it only does straight stitching unless you put a cam in it for zigzag stitching. I haven't mastered doing buttonholes on it yet because it's obviously going to be several steps to the buttonholes rather than the automatic buttonhole that I have in my regular sewing machine. But I would really like to do that because for really thick fabrics I think it would make a fabulous buttonhole, and it's very, very neat sewing. I actually find that most domestic sewing machines that are mechanical rather than electronic do really neat sewing. And I had that serviced, I think it might have been at the very beginning of this year, and I tell you what, it goes so fast now. It goes faster after I had it serviced. I don't know how that works, but it certainly did, and it sewed through the leather really, really well. I'll be putting in lots of photos of Phoebe's vest, and her vest is just lined with what I would traditionally call a bem silk lining. It's probably just like an acetate lining. It's not a satin one. And so I have got some of this fabric I have got left over, and I'm going to make myself what I call a car coat length coat. And so in this is the car coat length. They're the short length. I've already made the teddy bear one for myself, or the one I call the teddy bear colour, in the longer coat, which sort of comes down to near your knees, but I was going to make a car coat length coat for myself in this blue, which I will do. I'm just not doing it this week. I have to try and clean fur off everything, and I'm not finished with all the furs yet. So the other thing I got made was this coat in the longer length for one of my girlfriends. Now this is in a very, very thick fabric. You can see it's sort of a little bit variegated, or it's sort of brown and black, and that's sort of the colors that she wears, but I managed to put a really beautiful lining in it. So I made this for her. I'll insert lots of photos, and I put two labels in it, one being my label that says DB Designs and the other one that says Hello Gorgeous on it. So she'll love that. We're actually going with my girlfriend and her husband. So my husband and I and my girlfriend and her husband are going to Tasmania at the end of August and into September. So it will be absolutely freezing. Let's hope we don't need chains on our tyres to get anywhere, but it will be snowing in places in Tasmania. So it will be freezing, and this coat, I must say, is much warmer than my teddy bear coat. So it was hard to sew because it was so thick in the double layers. So that's the inside. You can see there's fluff coming off everywhere. My whole room is just trashed with fluff. So that's that side. So when you're sewing two right sides together, it is thick, really thick. I first of all tried, so when I had to sew the two layers together, first of all I tried sewing it on with my walking foot on my regular sewing machine, but it was struggling, really struggling. So then I changed to my Empacel machine, which has got a much higher lift, so it was easier to get the fabric under it to start off, and that mechanical sewing machine doesn't tend to do all that spaghetti knotting at the beginning that sometimes your sewing machine can do if you're not holding the tail threads out from under it. And so that actually worked really well. I did hand tack a lot of it together. So when I was talking about the revers of the coat, which is just a collar sewn to an extension of the front really that's creating that revers, I did tack that first to make sure that it would be precise when I sewed it. The layers didn't come apart, they actually stayed together quite well, but when I was sewing the lining to the fur, I actually used my walking foot because I knew that the lining would start to slip, especially when it's faced on the furry part, and the lining is quite satiny, so I thought that would move. So I used my walking foot for that, so that I wouldn't get any really long sections that didn't join to anything, as you do sometimes when your fabric tends to end up longer on one end than the other. So that is a beautiful coat. It is so warm, so warm. And so I'm going to make myself another one of these coats, but in the shorter length, in the blue. And I'm going to make my other granddaughter, that's 3, I'm going to make her one of the vests in the teddy bear colour because I've got some of that fabric left. Now I had intended to do that this week, except I think I've probably swallowed enough fur for the last week. And then my youngest daughter, we were talking about what her baby would be wearing on her first birthday. And she said, oh, I want you to make her something. And then she said, probably something out of fur. And I thought, I'm never going to be finished with fur. It's still going to be stuck all over me, stuck all over the sewing room. It's on every surface, in every little cubby hole. So I thought, I'm just going to put those 2 furs back in the bags for at least another 2 weeks, and I'm going to start to make my so I am going to start and make my Style Art knit skirt, and I think I have sold myself on the Vera top for the jumper of it. So that's the skirt, and last week I'd made the green set, which I must say is one of the warmest things I have worn. Now, I wore this skirt and jumper over some Lorna Jane leggings. I have actually don't usually make active wear, so I have a pair of Lorna Jane leggings that are the winter ones that are sort of fleece lined. They're somewhat difficult to get on because they're so firm fitting. I guess it would be equivalent to making leggings out of a fleece backed ponte, and so you can imagine how sort of firm fitting they are. The only problem I've got with those leggings is that I cannot get my long boots over the top of the legs, because the long boots are actually quite firm fitting on my legs, and so I just wear them with black stockings. And so for this, so I'm going to make another one of those skirts because I absolutely loved it, and over the leggings, it's so warm, and the Vera top. And this is a beautiful sweater knit from the Dahlia Society. So I hope to get that made up this week, because next weekend is the long weekend here in Melbourne. It's the King's birthday long weekend, not the Queen's birthday anymore, the King's birthday. And so we're going away. And so I will give my girlfriend her coat then when we go away, and hopefully I'll have this to take with me. But I've got that green outfit. I'll be interested to see how that washes up. It's in the washing machine now, in lingerie bags. Hopefully it doesn't grow too much. But it really was a tester to see if I liked that skirt and which jumper I would make. And I think I have decided on the Vera. Not sure if I'm going to make a band on the bottom of it or not. I have got plenty of the fabric, so I will be able to decide then. And so after I make that skirt and jumper in this beautiful fabric, I'm going to go on and make my my Tommy jeans skirt by Style Arc. And I've got this green, slightly stretch. And I think last time I had it, I hadn't washed it, and it didn't have very much stretch. Well, since I've washed it, it still doesn't have very much stretch. So it will be another case of when I put this together, I'll make up the front, I'll make up the back, and then I'll sew the side seams together. I find that's the best way for me to make any pants. And so as it is a jeans type of thing, it's all about getting the fly, it's a bit reflective, the fly and the pockets on the front right for me. So, and I don't have a green zip, but I did buy some YKK zips that you can dye. So I am going to have a go at dyeing one of those zips to see if I can get it as similar colour. So I've got that to make. And I was going to make another Patina blouse, probably a long sleeve one, in this beautiful tencel that I bought. Now I bought that from Darn Cheap Fabrics last time I was there. It's actually got a really nice feel to it. I don't really know how wintry it is. It's not terribly thick, probably not too see-through, but it's a really beautiful colour. And I wanted another patina blouse. So I was actually going to change the way I did the back neckline of the patina blouse, because I didn't really like the facing in the back of it very much. And so what I was going to do was turn the back facing into bias. So I was actually going to do bias on the very back neckline and join it into the shoulders and have the facing from the front come to the shoulders. So I'll go through that when I make it and see if I can get a better finish, because I just wasn't that happy, or might have been that the facing wasn't deep enough, or I had a real problem trying to get that facing to sit flat. And at the end of the day, you could do that whole neckline if you can get it to sit nicely enough in bias, because it's got a collar. So when you've got a collar, everything underneath's hidden. You can top stitch everything down because it's hidden underneath that collar. So that was just an idea that I've got into somehow changing the back facing. It's not changing the back neck, it's just changing the way the facing sits. So whether or not that's even hand stitching some of that bias down, you know, sew on one side, hand stitch down. Not sure that the tensile fabric would be that great at homemade bias binding. I might look through my stash of homemade bias bindings that I've got in cottons, because it might be easier to sew. But you never know. I will give it a go in making some bias binding with that, but if I can't get it to be stable enough, like you can of 100% cotton, because lots of my bias tapes that I make, I'm actually using quilting cotton, because I do love quilting cotton for a bias tape. It is nice and stable, even though it's cut on the bias, so it's got the stretch and it doesn't fray. I'm not sure how if this fabric frays very much or not. I've obviously overlocked the edge before I've washed it, so this has been washed. It's only got a few bits of fraying coming out, but I'm not sure if it's going to fray very much or not. Sometimes that's the trouble you have when you're going to make bias tape out of a self fabric, is that it frays a lot, even though it's cut on the bias. Probably less fraying on the bias than there is on the straight, but some fabrics, and some of them are just so shifty, it's really hard to make the bias tape, although it would only be a small piece that I would need to make, not mountains of it. And when I make bias tape from quilting cotton, if it's quilting cotton I've got left over, I just keep on making the bias tape, because you can always use it for something, or the inside of a dress. Or I do love the bias tape as the bottom part of a shirt or anything like that. Oh, today I'm wearing one of my shirts. This is a 100% cotton shirt, and is the All In Easy Fit Pattern Emporium shirt. And it's really comfortable. And I've just got a white Trudy turtleneck underneath it. And I'm just wearing some ready-made jeans. So this coat is so warm. It's really comfortable. And I must say, the fur coat I've got, even though it's not as thick as that one, on Friday night I did go to Auskick. And so it's the middle of the night in Ocean Grove, right near the sea. And I don't mean the beach, I mean the surf beach. So it's the ocean. And so it's freezing, and I had on my purple coloured Parker Ponte coat, and I had my fur coat over the top of it. So I think I make these in, I'm not sure if it's a large or an extra large. I'll tell you when I make the next one. But I could fit the Parker Ponte coat underneath it easily. So the idea of having a coat big enough to be able to fit other things underneath is great. Yes, so I had a very nice weekend. We'll pop photos of Phoebe in her vest in the photos, and Phoebe in her corduroy skirt, because she actually let me take some photos of her after she got dressed this morning. So that's all for this week. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, because we all want to see this fabric made up. I want to see this fabric made up. So don't forget to like and subscribe, so that when I put up this video, hopefully it will be ready by Friday. The skirts are really easy, quick make. The jumper's going to be, I haven't exactly decided everything I'm going to do with the bottom part of it. The top part I have, because the top part's going to be the same as the mauvey lavender coloured one I had. And what I do love about it is those sleeves. So in your Vera top, you've got those beautiful long cuffs. Absolutely love them. And so I'll be interested to see how that works out. Everybody have a fabulous week, and I'll talk to you then. Bye.